No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Good morning, Bronco Nation. How we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, and all the various social media channels of Bronco Nation News. And again, we got our man Jay Tust with us. It's Tuesday and Taco Bell Tuesday here at BNN, and a lot to get to. And road trip to Hawaii on Saturday. How we doing, Jay?
I'm good. How are you today, bud?
Doing good. We're coming from the Western Collective Studios. I hope folks picked up that Horseshoe Golden Ale at Albertson Stadium on Saturday. They got the new Orange Chaos Seltzer, which I've always also heard has gotten rave reviews so far, the brand new Orange Chaos Seltzer. So, again, pick that up. It supports the Horseshoe Collective. And don't forget, while I'm thinking about it, join us on Saturday. Well, I won't be there, but join the crew on Saturday at House of Western there at Bar National for the watch party for the game on Saturday, 9 o'clock. Is kickoff. I know it's late, but if you're looking for a spot to watch and then want to go hit up the town afterwards, hopefully celebrate a big win over Hawaii, 9 p.m. They got $3 Horseshoe Golden Ales, a lot of other great burger specials. So come watch the game. House of Western, Bar National, all road games. Bronco Nation News and the Horseshoe Collective teaming up to raise money for the student athletes there in terms of the Horseshoe Collective. Jay, a big win over Utah State went kind of about how we expected. They covered the spread. Another kind of big number on Saturday. Obviously, the big trip leading to Hawaii, but I guess just you can take it wherever you want with your opening thoughts here.
Yeah, I think that this offense right now, it's adding up to be the best offense so far in college football. Points matter, and they're averaging 50.7. So to have that top spot, I feel like is a big deal. And they're cooking right now on offense, man. Their metrics just about all over the place on offense are pretty much off the charts. And, Ashton Jeanty certainly deserves a lion's share of the credit for it. But whether it be Maddox Matson, Cam Camper, Matt Lauder, some of the wide receivers that had a big game, this last game, Prince Strawn, Austin Bolt, Chase Penry. I just think we saw the full complement of offensive weapons and what this team can do when they find its stride on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, BJ, the first half looked easy. Like the 42 or whatever, 49, whatever they put up in the first half, it just seemed effortless and easy almost.
Well, it was so easy that Dirk Cutter got to enjoy a snack.
It was, he scores on that first play. It's almost anticlimactic. I'm finally, we were on defense first. We go through the kicking plays. Finally, it's time for me to do my job, and he takes a counter play and runs it 70 yards for a touchdown. Have some more popcorn and wait for the next series.
Like what we do up there, Jay. Have some more popcorn and wait for the next series there to see what Ashton Jeanty can do next. I like that quote.
Dirk is hilarious, man. They do have a new popcorn machine, though, so that is worth noting. There is a new popcorn machine up in the press box area, so that's big time. I don't know if Dirk was actually eating more popcorn, but it's certainly funny to think that Ashton Jeanty scores a touchdown. He's got this, idea of what he wants to do on the first drive, and Jeanty just pops one, and so he's like, let's go grab some more popcorn.
I mean, I know Ashton Jeanty gets the credit, and you're right. I mean, he is a big reason for that, a big part of that. But we came into this season thinking this could be one of the best offenses in college football, and we've talked about the receivers they have, the O-line they had coming back, Matt Lauder. We obviously thought either quarterback was going to be good enough, for this offense. We obviously knew what Jeanty could do, and we were there all summer, all fall camp, especially once they brought Dirk back, saying this should be one of the best offenses in the country. And we'll get to the defense and their struggles in a minute, but this offense, as you said, number one in scoring, number 3 in total offense, that includes, some road games, some power 4 opponents. Like, this isn't just, beating up on patsies at this point, 5 games in. I mean, this offense is as advertised, if not better overall. I know some people would still like to, overall see a little more in the passing game. Maddox Madsen certainly, maybe quieted some of those thoughts with how he played last week against Utah State, but 5 games in, man, right what we thought it would be, if not better. This offense is scoring a lot of points.
It is. I mean, you have to go back to the 2019 season, BJ, the last time Boise State was ranked in the top 20 in points scored on offense. And, that year they averaged 34.7. So they're 16 points per game above that, like 2 touchdowns and a field goal basically above that mark. I think you have to go back to the Mike Sanford days in 2014 to, find the last time this team probably was viewed as having one of the top offenses in the country, right? Let's say 2014. And whatever they're doing right now, man, like I said, they're kind of making it look easy. And there are certainly plays like the Georgia Southern game. Ashton had a lot of room to run, but you look at like Washington State and even some of the runs last week against Utah State, man, he's creating it. And, Dirk Cutter called him a generational talent. And that says something coming from a guy like Dirk Cutter. Like, Dirk is always the funny thing. Like, he doesn't really have time for any of the BS, so he's really always he's pretty honest with us. I feel like whether it be on one side of the pendulum or the other in terms of positivity or negativity. And so for him to call Ashton Jeanty a generational talent, I think is just a massive, massive compliment. And I just don't see, man. BJ, I don't see anybody in the Mountain West slowing these guys down. I really don't. You can always have a bad day at the office, certainly, but I almost feel like Ashton Jeanty is bad day at the office foolproof. Like, I don't know. I don't think anybody in the Mountain West, even on Ashton Jeanty's worst day, can keep him under 100 yards. And
as Alexander points out, I mean, they've got Dubar and Gaines and Dylan Riley and Crow, and I mean, it's not just Jeanty, and obviously, knock on wood, you hope he stays healthy and can play every game all game and is good to go. But now Dubar being back, what we've seen from Dylan Riley, at some point they'll get Gaines back. But I mean, it does seem like there's some other options there as well.
Yeah, and the reason why I think it's important to get Sayer back is, I love what we saw out of Breezy Dubar last week. Obviously, Dylan Riley has shown his explosiveness. Those guys are kind of more straight line runners, though, right? Like Ashton is just everything. Like he can be a straight line runner, but that because he can run away from you, but he's just so physical and can break tackles. And I think like, Sayer is more that type of guy where if you need some tough yards, he can break tackles and do some things that are really, really nice. But what you're witnessing right now out of Ashton Jeanty, I said this before the season. He's worth season tickets. Like, if you haven't seen Ashton Jeanty play this season live, you're probably going to regret it when the season's over. He's unbelievable. You will, we're sports guys, BJ, so maybe we, appreciate the moment more than some. But what you're seeing right now is something you might not see again or for a very, very long time at Boise State. He's just so unreal with what he can do on a football field that man, catch it while you can, because it's something that you might never see a guy as good as Ashton Jeanty, running the rock again at Boise State. And that's saying something. Yep.
I mean, 3 games for sure, maybe 4 on the blue, seeing how it goes. But we do have a voicemail about Jeanty I wanted to play. Signature Roofing voicemail line. You can leave us voicemails at speakpipe.com/BNN. Hopefully we got this figured out so you can hear this, Jay. Speakpipe.com/BNN. This is Sessions Vestal with a question or comment on Jeanty here.
250 yards as opposed to 186. And it comes down to, is he the best player in the nation?
Or does restart? Sorry, hold on here. You hear that, Jay? Did you hear that, though? Okay. All right, here we go.
Hey, BJ. I just had a thought yesterday, and I want to get your thoughts. I feel like the more national news and the more hype that Jeanty gets, the more people that watch him. And so actually the people watching him during the game and him going for 13 carries for 186 will mean more than another 6 carries for 70 yards, and he gets 250 yards as opposed to 186. And it comes down to, is he the best player in the nation, or does he have the best stats? And I feel like that's what the Heisman voters are actually going to go for. Thanks. Hey, BJ.
My thoughts?
Yes.
I'm still of the mind, like, we just witnessed it happen, and I know that people are going to want. Ashton Jeanty makes it look so easy that people are going to say, why are you taking him out early? Let him get a couple more carries. Let him pad his stats and things like that. But, like, look at what has happened since the first complaints came in about not letting Ashton Jeanty pad his stats. It happened in the second half of Portland State, where he only rushed for 127 yards. And at that point in time, he apparently lost his Heisman campaign. And 2 weeks later, he is the odds-on favorite to win it. He had an incredible game against Washington State. He played one half of unbelievable ball against Utah State. And it's been enough so far. When all is said and done, I mean, I have a feeling what's going to happen here. SEC is going to get in November, and one of those quarterbacks, whether it be like a Quinn Ewers or something, is going to get start to get a lot of national attention and a lot of buzz. And at that point in time, it's going to come down to, can Ashton Jeanty continue to stay in that conversation? And his stats are enough. His highlight reel's enough. I don't think that there might be some out there, but I don't know if there's a huge difference between, when the Heisman voting goes down, there's still games left in the season, or at least bowl games, right? So if Ashton Jeanty's at 2,600 or 2,500 yards instead of 2,600 yards, I don't know if that's going to matter, man. I just think it's him continuing to pop electric runs that continue to make every highlight reel and have everybody. I mean, there are NFL people on ESPN that never pay attention to college ball that are tweeting about Ashton Jeanty, right? And so as long as he can maintain that, I think he'll be fine. I don't think it's a matter of, oh man, he's got 186 yards at halftime. How do we get him to 250 in the second half? I just don't think it matters.
No.
And more than anything too, this is a situation where he has such a promising career after college football. You have to think about the fact that this guy's borderline, he's working his way into a top 10, top 15 pick right now in the NFL draft. You cannot sacrifice his future for a couple of extra carries in an irrelevant 32-point blowout. You can't do that.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit. That's the beauty of all this, though. I don't know if the first carry of the third quarter is that much different than the last carry of the second quarter.
It is until something happens to him, and then everybody second guesses why you played him when he's up 30.
And people are going to say, why was he still carrying the ball in the second quarter? I mean,
because it was still a game. Oh, come on now. You watched the game.
The second quarter as it was first play of the third quarter.
You go down and you shut it down at halftime, and you come back out and you try to get warmed up and you play again. Yeah. Oh man, I really disagree.
I just personally think they could have given him a series or two in the third quarter. I mean, it's a 60-minute game. To shut him down at halftime just seems super early for me. But if it keeps him healthy and it does it, great. But I still think he's facing a very uphill battle, despite all of his attention that he's getting on social media and everything. I just personally feel like his
let me ask you this:
work, but if he wants to win, I feel like he's really facing an uphill battle. And
okay, so he entered last week's game with like the sixth best odds to win the Heisman.
Yeah, Colorado didn't play, I don't think. I mean, that stuff changes every week.
Okay, so he enters with the sixth best odds. He plays one half and goes for 186, and now he's the odds-on favorite. That shows that it doesn't matter. And the funny thing is, BJ, we will agree on this.
I guess my thing is, Jay, is like this is going to happen again against Hawaii. This is going to happen again in future games. This is going to keep happening, which is just going to really keep hurting his numbers. And so, I mean, by the end of the season here, you're talking 500-600 yards he could have had. It's a huge difference for a guy like him from a group of 5 school. So
if they run him into the ground against Portland State, do you think he goes for 259 against Washington State the following week?
I'm not saying run him into the ground. I would just think a couple extra carries on a first drive of the third quarter to see if he can break one more long one. I don't have a huge problem with.
Okay, so then even like the Georgia Southern game where he plays a bunch and starts and things like that. Like, do we want to do you need to push him to that extent?
No, that was 90-degree heat when it's 80% humidity or whatever. I mean, that's a lot different.
I'm telling you, what's going to happen is he played he played about 40% of the snaps last week, a little more than that. Same thing's going to happen against Hawaii, and then they're going to unleash hell on UNLV, and it's going to be another 250 yards rushing. I guarantee it.
When he finishes with 2,100 yards and doesn't win the Heisman, and he could have had 2,500 yards, that's just going to be disappointing for Boise State fans to take, I think. I mean, I mean,
no offense, I don't know if that matters. Like, guy, like how you're telling me that Ashton Jeanty is going to rush for 2,100 yards and fans are going to be disappointed? I mean, check yourself in the mirror there, fans, if that's the case.
You have a chance to break Barry Sanders' record. You have a chance to have one of the most historic seasons a running back's ever had. I think you can mesh that with the team's success also. I just think 13 carries is crazy. I mean, 13 carries is, I mean, I think that's just, I mean, they're keeping him healthy and hopefully they make the playoff and it all pays off. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, that's just the beauty about sports. We all have our own opinions. A lot of people agree with you in the chat. Some people agree with me. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, let's not forget why he has 13 carries, though. If he doesn't have a 75-yard touchdown run and a 63-yard touchdown run, and he actually is like a normal human and takes 10 more carries to cover that distance, then he's got 23 carries. Like he doesn't need 23 carries to get to $186. He needs 13.
Yeah. I'm just saying if you give him one drive in the third quarter and he gets to 250 because he breaks off another long one.
But it wouldn't matter because he's already the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman.
Right now he is, but again, you got 8 games left or 7 games left. And I'm saying I think this is going to keep happening and they're going to keep pulling him out and he's going to lose a lot of yards by the end of the season.
If this keeps happening, what does that mean, BJ?
That means they're winning games.
It means they're winning games. It means they're going to be sitting there in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. They're going to be 11-1. Ashton Jeanty's going to have even if he doesn't play some of these halves, he's going to have 2,200 yards rushing or something insane. And they're going to be in the driver's seat to get a bye in the college football playoff. If this keeps happening, this only helps, my opinion.
We'll see. I respectfully disagree a little bit with part of it. I mean, I'm not saying to run him 50 carries every game. I just think 13 is crazy. I think you could easily give him 16, 17 carries. That's not overworking him. I mean, one more series in the third quarter. I mean, they had to bring some of the starters back in the game. I mean, they had to bring Maddox Madsen and the O-line and all those guys back into the game. I mean, he had a heck of a game. I mean, yes. What's the number one goal? Keep him healthy. And if they think that's taking him out at halftime, that is. I just think when you have a chance to literally put up a season that's never been done before by a running back, he's getting cheated a little bit sitting out all this time. I think.
I mean, I'm going to go bigger picture here for a second, and what. Spencer Danielson is a massive proponent of doing, and it's getting some of these guys in and actually playing in football games. Like, this is going to help the development of the football program down the line, big time.
No doubt.
And whether that be running back or anywhere else, offensive line, it hasn't been like this. BJ, when is the last time they used depth like this?
It's been a while.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I seriously think you might have to go back to like the Pete era.
It's been a while. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, we're 5 games into the season, and like the second string has basically played a full game. I mean, that's that it's been a long time since they've, I guess it's been a long time since they've been in the position to do that, but it's also been a long time since they've actually done it. And so it's not like, yeah, you could go hammer a team and win 80 to 10 or 30, because I don't know if it mattered who you had on defense there. They were struggling a little bit there at the end of Saturday's game, but I don't know. I think you got to do what you can to. I think it's the direction of some of this stuff. Like, man, I love looking up stats. You know that, and I'm like, I would love to be crunching numbers that show that Ashton Jeanty's on pace for 3,000 yards, because I thought he'd get to 3,000, yards from scrimmage this season. But the fact that Spencer Danielson really wants to emphasize getting some of these young guys in and utilizing them, I think it's a big deal. And I think you saw even with a guy like Dylan Riley. I'm just saying, I don't think Dylan Riley scores a touchdown on that kickoff if he doesn't have, if he doesn't get his feet wet with, in the second half against Portland State. Like, I just think that all that adds up and all that helps.
Yeah, I guess just where the game, when you decide a game is in hand, I guess plays into this too. I mean, like I said,
how about that? How about that though? Like that actually might be a conversation, because there is a magic number out there.
Yeah, I just think the halftime. I just think in a 32. I don't know. I just personally thought halftime was a little too early to shut it down. If they'd have gone through the third quarter and shut him down and not had him play the whole fourth quarter, no one would be saying, "Oh, he's playing too much. He's playing too much." Like, you're still getting him out 25% of the game, or even a series or two. Shut him down midway through the third quarter. I just personally feel like halftime is a little too early, in my opinion, to shut him down unless it's 60-0. And so that's just my personal feelings. Some agree with you, some agree with me. It's just one of those water cooler debates that there's no perfect answer, I don't think. But I just hope with the season he's having, I just hope that it doesn't cost him at the end. I guess that's more my I would
rather have him at the end than potentially costing him at the end.
Yeah. We've had this debate too. I just feel like they're going to be a CFP type team almost every year. And this is a once in a generation type season from a running back. And I think it's going to take every yard he can get if he actually wants to win this thing. And I'm, again, not saying to play him 30 carries, not saying to overplay him the entire game, but I don't personally think playing him half or the half the third quarter or the third quarter, is that big difference.
There's actually another thing that Latrell Capel said this a few weeks ago, and we're talking about trying to keep guys fresh and stuff. It must have been right after the Portland State game, I'm going to guess. And he said, we're trying to go to a college football playoff this year. And if that's the case, it's almost like an NFL length of a season. And they got to do what they can to stay fresh, man. That's another thing that I look at this right now. Like, if Boise State can continue to operate this way, come, the final weeks of November, Oregon State on the blue after Thanksgiving, the Mountain West Conference Championship game, and going into the bowl season, this team might be as fresh as anybody going into, that stretch of ball, if they can kind of continue to do what they've been able to do so far this season.
Yeah. Well,
I really think that you see Ashton Jeanty for 42% of the carries this week against Hawaii. He's going to put up a very similar stat line. And then against UNLV, you unleash hell. Like hey, Jackson Woodard and UNLV and Barry Odom, they have done a wonderful job there, man. And Jackson Woodard he's the real deal. He is an outstanding football player, but I don't think there's any 11 guys that can stop Ashton Jeanty right now in the Mountain West.
Why a 14-point lead against UNLV all of a sudden is the game where it's okay, let's just keep them in there, versus a 32-point. I mean, like I said, I don't know where the number is, where the time in game is. You're probably going to be right. He'll win the Heisman and it won't matter. But I guess mine is more hoping it doesn't hurt him later in the season, because you can't get these halves back that he's sitting out. And so hopefully he stays healthy and they know what they're doing. And like I said, I'm not trying to run him into the ground. I just don't know why one or two series in the third quarter wouldn't have hurt him in this game, particularly a conference game. But we'll just, it's one of those debates that I don't know if there's a perfect answer. And again, you never know when he's going to get hurt, when he's going to not get hurt, when he's going to be healthy. Like, we don't know. He could have played the third quarter and done nothing, rushed 3 yards, who knows? So it is what it is. When I see a player that has a chance to literally have the most historic season of running backs ever had, I just feel like they're kind of taking, it's just you 2 of the 5 games you don't get to play in the second half makes it tough for that to happen. But We'll keep him healthy, see what happens at the end. Hopefully you're right. He's healthy. He gets into the college football playoff game and can rush for 400 yards and make up for the yards that he's missing in these second halves. We'll see. I guess mine is more the fact that I'm nervous this could happen again. This is going to keep happening. And I think it's, again, you start adding this up, we're talking 4, 5, 6, 700 yards that he's potentially losing here by not playing. But maybe that's going to matter. Maybe it won't when it comes to the Heisman and all that. I don't know. But the defense deserves probably more of our talk because that's obviously not going well right now. They certainly have some big issues defensively, Jay. The numbers say it. Just kind of looking at it says it. Let's go and talk about the defense here and their problems in just a second. But I do want to remind folks again, Saturday, come join us 9:00 on Saturday for the watch party down at House of Western at Bar National, 9 p.m. for the Hawaii game. I know it's late, but come on down. You get food specials, $3 Horseshoe Golden Ales. Would love to have you down there. Western Collective, Horseshoe Golden Ale, and the Orange Chaos Seltzer. Check them out, Western Collective. And again, downtown Boise, Garden City. There are 2 locations. And we'll see you Saturday, 9:00 for the watch party. Our title sponsor, RoePaint.com. Hope you liked Andy Rowe on yesterday's show. He's going to be a regular on Mondays now. RoePaint.com. RoePaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Make sure you check them out. All their concrete coatings, all their various painting options. They're the best in the business. Check them out at RoePaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile eBranch online banking right there in your smartphone. Check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Matt Bauscher is now part of the Boise State home team. We appreciate him. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Found out firsthand when my family bought and sold their home using Matt and Cade, Kelly, Sarah, the whole crew there. So very appreciative and thankful for their customer service, their attention to detail. And you can get the same service, any size home, doesn't matter, not too big, too small. They can handle them all. 243-8222, BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho and the surrounding states. Check them out, ShopRidleys.com. Save up to 40% off of the checkout line using that app, the Skip app. Download that in your smartphone, and we'll see you at Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game. Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. 4 locations, been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Whether it's a spa for the back patio, pool table for the game room, a sauna, they can take care of you at their locations. TheSpaTeam.com. You can go online, see the various options they have. And again, 4 locations, all various options. Check them out online at TheSpaTeam.com. And don't forget, next Saturday, October 19th, 11 a.m., you can see Matt Lauder, Ahmed Hassanin, Jonah Dalmas, and Andrew Simpson. October 19th, 11 to 2. They'll be at Lithia Ford of Boise for an NIL event next Saturday of the bye week. So check them out. Lithia Ford of Boise, October 19th, 11 to 2, and meet your favorite Broncos right there at Lithia Ford of Boise. All right, this defense, Jay, the numbers are not great. I mean, I know you're 4-1. I know it's they've made some big stops when they've needed to, a couple big 4th down stops against Washington State. But overall, you just look at it from 30,000 foot view. The defensive numbers for the most part are bad, really bad. I mean, they're outside the top 100 in a lot of categories. 1 interception on the season. I know the sack numbers have been good, but a lot of the other defensive numbers, passing yards, total defense, scoring defense, a lot of things are not great. 3rd downs have not been good. You can go down the line. I've got a clip here from Spencer and Eric Chenander, but before I play that, just what's your take on where the defense is at right now?
I was really encouraged by their performance against Washington State, and then you felt them just kind of slip against Utah State, and they got off to a great start right away, and Ahmed had a sack, and Ashton pops a big run, and you're just kind of like, oh man, this could be like a 62-7 blowout. And Eric said something along the way yesterday that it seems like the defense kind of lost their sense of urgency. Now, I have no doubt a lot of those guys play hard. Like, that's not what I'm questioning. But I do kind of agree with them a little bit that maybe you lose a sense of urgency. Like, when your backs are against the wall and you have to get a 3rd down stop, like, even some of the Washington State game, they were able to do it. But they just didn't seem to have that urgency against Utah State, who did a wonderful job getting the ball out quick, moving the chains. And BJ, you brought up 3rd down. So much of this goes to 3rd freaking down. Utah State had to convert 19 different opportunities on 3rd down. Like, they're getting opponents to 3rd down, then they just can't get off the field on third down. Utah State converted 10 of those 19 third down opportunities. So they've just, if you can, man, they're so close. If they can find a way to get off the field on third down, I really do think a lot of this stuff goes away, kind of like we saw, against Washington State. But yeah, they overall, like I would still say that they are a work in progress.
Let's hear from Spencer Danielson, Eric Shenander on the defense.
I think if you look back at the game from Saturday, I just cut them out. There's about 9 plays where you take those 9 away. You can't take them back. Get those fixed, and it's no magical answer. There's some technique issues we got to get fixed. There's some tackling issues we got to get fixed, and then we just can't have a lack of urgency once we start getting up on an opponent. We've got to keep that sense of urgency going, sense of urgency to get aligned, communicate, execute our techniques, and play football.
Yeah, it comes down to leverage and techniques, Prater. I mean, there is a time on film, like I said, a perfect example for me, without getting into it, Coach Chins calls a post defense. Nobody's in the post. So for me, we're looking at it from all phases. Is it we're not getting the signals? Is it lack of techniques? And a lot of what shows up on film right now is we are not executing our technique. These are day one techniques. When you come to play Boise State football, we teach you these techniques. There's been a drop-off. And that's on me as the head coach. It's on our defensive coaches to get it fixed. We have young men that want to improve. That's not a battle. It's not a, hey guys, we need you to work harder. No, our guys train. They don't run from hard work. Now we have to make sure we fine tune these details. If in this call, you're outside leverage. You have to be outside leverage, non-negotiable. And we weren't that way on Saturday. There was too much. There was some good stuff on defense. Obviously, when you give up 500 yards of offense, that's not going to be talked about. That's the reality when on defense. But we got to be more consistent with our techniques, and we have to tackle better. If we play with better techniques, we tackle better, that's a whole different situation.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that, and it's getting to the point of the season where you can't, we've been hitting some live tackles in practice, but you can't tackle a ton just because of the wear and tear on bodies. So we spent some time yesterday talking about better ways to execute a simulated tackle and intentional finish in the team periods. We're going to try out a couple new things this week, see if it works. But I know this, when our team targets high, it's not successful. When we target low, it is very successful. So I think the overlying point of emphasis for this week is how do we get them to target low when we're not actually executing a full tackle.
One interception through 5 games. I mean,
tackling issues, some short gains becoming big games is part of it. But again, only have 1 interception, so you're not getting a ton of takeaways or those big plays to prevent some of those yards. And as you mentioned, third down an issue as well. But a lot of small issues adding up to some big issues.
Yeah, that's kind of the name of this thing right now, BJ. Like that's the story of the game. And it's funny. I didn't walk away thinking like Boise State was like terrible tackling against Utah State. Like it wasn't good, but mostly just because tackling hasn't been like a huge issue for this team up into this point in the season. So it kind of surprised me a little bit that it would be an issue at this point in the season. I mean, that's always like the excuse in the first couple games, right, BJ? Like, getting back to game speed and all this stuff. And so maybe the first game or two, like you don't tackle that well. But actually, that wasn't the case. Boise State's tackled pretty well, like those first couple of games of the season. It comes down to the big plays and stuff too. And I mean, Jalen Royals just torched them a few times, and he's a great football player. But I think anybody would quickly admit they also kind of made him look like a great football player due to a lack of communication and losing leverage and things like that at times. So, I think the thing that, and I think this would be. You got ball talk on tonight with Mike Sanford tomorrow next. Sorry, today's Tuesday. My bad. How do you create more interceptions or things like that? Because that number is like really, really low. Like Boise State has 1. There are players in the country with 5 at this point in time in the season.
Again,
so
it's not like they're facing 5, run first teams. Some of the teams they face throw the ball all over the field, and they have a interception.
And I will say, like Utah State, Georgia Southern, like some of these teams, they really get the ball out quick, which is difficult to do. But it feels to me like, man, there would be a correlation if you are putting pressure on the quarterback and you are getting sacks, that would mean that, you'd get a quarterback that gets hit and a ball flutters in the air, something like that. And, I go back, man, and I think you'll agree with me here, BJ, like to see like the amount of turnovers like a Jeremiah Irby forced in fall camp and back in spring ball as a cornerback. Like if you told me back then that Jeremiah Irby would have 5 interceptions this year, I'd be like, yeah, I could definitely see that. And that whole position group is still hunting for their very first one. Ty Benefield, the safety, is the only guy that has an interception on this defense so far this season. And, going into the Washington State game, we said, hey, John Mateer is going to put a couple up every game that is going to put the ball in harm's way. He did that near the end of the first half, and Ty Benefield went and got it. So how can that room, that cornerback room, figure out a way to, make a couple more plays? And it's not easy, man. Cornerback position is the toughest position maybe in sports. Like to basically have to run around and track the most athletic dude or one of the most athletic dudes on the opposing roster all afternoon for 70, 80, 90 snaps. That is not easy to do. It's not easy to do at all. But how can they become, better playmakers, bigger playmakers at those positions? That's a big question right now.
Yeah, I know Marion McCoy doesn't have a pick. They're not throwing much to him. He's playing, probably, I would say fine. But we went into the season, Jay, thinking maybe they're going to have the best, starting corners in the Mountain West. I mean, we thought about Banks fighting for playing time. We thought about Irby. I mean, certainly Irby, I don't want to say they sold us the goods on him, but I mean, he had a pretty impressive spring and summer and fall. And again, not to pick him out, point him out and say he's underachieved, whatever, but we were, I think, expecting him to be a big-time playmaker, and that just hasn't materialized yet.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know if we were even sold the bill of goods. Like, they let us watch a lot of practice this year, and we could see, like, he was a bill of goods. Like, yeah, he was. So
it hasn't materialized yet here in games.
Yeah, not quite to the point that I would have, predicted what was happening in practice would carry over into a game. But Johnny beat me to the punch yesterday, even bringing up Devon Banks. I know they're really high on him, and they think that, he could be a major contributor for this team. And you are continuing to see him, play more and more. And I'm interested to see how that position battle continues to go. And just which direction that kind of trends. That Markel Reed didn't play last game. He hasn't played a ton on defense really much, lately anyways, but they are just a little bit thin at that position. But you get down to a point where, like, I don't know, maybe when does Franklin Johnson enter the picture? We saw some good things out of him out of fall camp, and he's not like a big dude, but who wasn't a big dude? Dante Dion, who was like the best ever at least in my time here of going and getting the freaking football. So I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see if this all changes.
Yeah, there's a couple people calling for Franklin Johnson in the chat. Irby said perhaps Irby produced well in camp because there wasn't officiating. He made some great plays in camp. We hyped him up. I think he's got talent. For whatever reason, it just hasn't translated to the field yet. I'm not trying to bag on the kid. But there's been a couple of times, Jay, maybe he hasn't turned around on some longer routes. I mean, there's been some tough plays for him, no doubt, to this point. But they're still obviously high on him. He's got, he's a proven Pac-12 player with multiple interceptions, starts, in the Pac-12. So you have to just bank on maybe it's just a rough 4 or 5 games here, and he's going to obviously still have plenty of chances to turn it around here moving forward. But that defensive backfield, as we spin this in the final 5 minutes or so to Hawaii here in a second, another challenge coming for them this week. Hawaii is number 37 in terms of passing offense, and doesn't get any easier for the pass defense this week.
It doesn't, man. I still like their chances to prove, and I think that if anything, what happened against Utah State last week probably lights a little bit of a fire under the defense, and I don't think that there's going to be a lack of a sense of urgency or anything to start this week. I think that they'll come out pretty hot. One thing real quick that I will mention too is that the forced fumble area, they have been pretty active in that spot. Like I know Utah State, you could argue, kind of gave that one to them last weekend, but still, like they do have 7 forced fumbles, which ranks top 10 in the country in that category. So not getting picks, but they are forcing fumbles. Still would like to see them to find a way to get a couple more interceptions or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you, man. It's not going to necessarily be an easy task when you kind of add everything up, the travel and all that stuff. But I think that Spencer Danielson's pushing a lot of buttons right now. These players seem fresh, motivated, determined. They haven't lost their edge, and I really do think they just go take care of business against Hawaii. I do. This defense, what a wonderful opportunity, though, for this defense to face a team that's going to challenge them and to respond to that challenge and go into the bye week feeling good about themselves before a big-time Friday night showdown in Sin City against UNLV at the end of October.
Hey, Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. Check them out if you're looking for a job. But they've got some great food as well. Love that Cantina Bowl. Good for they got the keto options, all the various options. Taco Bell, fruit, fruit slushies and stuff. The cheesy rolls. My kids love those. So TacoBellWorks.com. You can get more information if you're looking for a job. We appreciate the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family. TacoBellWorks.com. TCS, Transportation Compliance Service. TCS can help you get into the trucking industry and all the permits and overweight, DOT, everything you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. They're a national company based right here in the Treasure Valley. Big fans of the local blue and orange team. So TCS, Transportation Compliance Service. Check them out. Transcomservice.com. Speaking of being a fan, needing some gear, the blue and orange store can help you out. Whether it's the new jerseys, whether it's the NIL shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, caps, sideline apparel for the coaches, you name it. They got it at the Blue and Orange store. I know you have a lot of options in town to buy your Boise State gear, but right there at the Boise Town Square Mall, second floor next to Perimage, the biggest, most comprehensive selection at the best prices. That clearance rack there in the front is maybe the best deal in town. And again, highly recommend visiting the Blue and Orange store. They've been around since the first Fiesta Bowl. They're ready to help you out. And again, you can do it online as well at the Blue and Orange store.com. Jay, I know where you're headed after the show here today. You are headed to Jackson's, the Breezy Bundle. You can get a hot dog and a soda for $1 at Jackson's today, thanks to Breezy Dubar scoring a touchdown. Yes, take advantage of this today, folks. You have to have the Let's Go Rewards app. Make sure you have an account there. It's easy. Most of you probably do and don't even know it when you type in your phone number there. But the Let's Go Rewards, you get a hot dog and a soda for $1 thanks to Breezy Dubar getting in the end zone. So been waiting 4 or 5 weeks for this. Now you get it. Enjoy it. A hot dog and a soda for $1 with the Breezy Bundle from our friends at Jackson's. And speaking of food, make sure you check out Lean Feast. 10,000 plus combinations. It's healthy. They deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley, so no excuse to not eat healthy. LeanFeastMeridian.com. Check them out. LeanFeastMeridian.com. All right, Jay, the trip to Hawaii, the team leaving on Thursday. It's about a 5.5 hour, 6 hour flight. There's a 4 hour time difference. They are heading over on Thursday. I have a quick bite from Spencer talking about this. I'm trying to decide if it's worth playing or not. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow because I know we're short on time. But just your thoughts on them going to Hawaii, the trip, the travel, the playing in a smaller stadium than they're used to over there. 9 p.m. Mountain Time start. I mean, it's your thing. We talked about this after the press conference yesterday, just kind of how crazy you go to all this for a conference game. Maybe the last time they do it for a while, but a lot goes into this one. And, the Hawaii flu, so to speak, teams go over there and don't play as well. They get caught up in everything else going on around them. You hope that doesn't happen for Boise State on Saturday, but this is one of the more challenging trips that a team will take.
It's one of the more challenging trips because it's a long trip, but you know what? I'm not going to really buy the hype, or that it's going to be too much for them to handle. I still think they go smash Hawaii. I do, but a big reason why, and we actually kind of hovered around at the end of the postgame or at the end of the press conference and talked about this yesterday, BJ. I think it is a massive advantage to not have anything lingering after the bye week, after Hawaii, because you have a bye week. Like, I think that sometimes you might have the thought process like you're looking ahead to the bye week or whatever, but they've kind of already had one, and it really doesn't feel like it was that long ago. I think by not having a game following this Hawaii trip is super beneficial because everybody knows they're going to Hawaii to just focus on this thing, to unload on this thing, and they don't have to worry about some weird, crazy turnaround to get back home and start your rest and recovery again. Like, if they had to worry about playing an opponent, like, what if UNLV was this Friday, or next Friday, right? You'd be getting back from Hawaii off the team charter at like 9 or 10 a.m. I know Spencer gives the guys the day off on Sunday, but you would spend all of Sunday just trying to get your mind right and probably feel right again. Like, you'd probably almost feel jet lagged, and then you'd hit Monday, probably a little sluggish, despite the fact, there's a bye, and sometimes you might look forward to that. I think in this case, it's super beneficial and helps. And then it's going to really allow them to focus on this trip and taking care of business. But man, I just, Hawaii doesn't really scare me. Their defensive numbers don't really scare me. You look at some of the teams they've played, and it's not like they've played like these offensive juggernauts so far. Really like Jimmy Chang and the things that he does out there, but Boise State's just a cut above the rest at this point in time.
Yeah, that run and shoot offense. Again, we'll see if Boise State's defense can figure some things out. Again, one of the better passing teams they've faced all season for a defense that has struggled to defend the pass. So we'll see. But yeah, 15,000-seat stadium. I'm sure Boise State, obviously with the Canio family, Braxton Feely apparently has a lot of family out there. So a lot of parents are making this trip. So they'll have some fans, but it's just a different, just a lot different than an hour trip down to Logan or something, just to deal with everything that goes into this for college kids. Rodney Robinson, not the Rodney Robinson, because they're practicing right now, asked what happened to the Rodney Robinson interview. He's talking today, I believe, group interview today for Rodney Robinson. So you can get that on KTVB tonight. It'll be on Bronco Nation News YouTube this afternoon. So Rodney Robinson talking today. I know Canio's talking, some other guys are talking. So it'll be a typical week, and then Spencer and the coaches will talk, or Spencer will talk tomorrow, I guess, with them leaving on Thursday. So it's a shorter week media wise, but we'll still get it in, and we'll still get you there though. Somebody did ask about this. We're out of time, but somebody's asking about the 70-team super conference. I don't know if you saw that from Ross Dellinger. Just put out a story where the powers that be are getting wooed by some big money Disney executive trying to basically break away the FBS, the FCS. And what stinks about it, the only thing I'll say, Jay, I don't know if you've seen it or not, or want to give one comment on the way out, but they would eliminate, if it happens, they would eliminate all games from the Power Four against the Group of Five. The Power Four would only play the Power Four. It would help increase the TV revenue because you'd have Blue Bloods playing Blue Bloods every game. They would do their own thing, their own championship, their own bigger playoff. And school like Boise State, according to this model, would be not good enough to be, even though Vanderbilt and some of these Kansas and some of these bad Power 4 teams would get in just because they're in a Power 4 conference, school like Boise State would be left out of this and have to fight for the rest in the Group of Five.
In what freaking universe is college football better with Boise State not a part of the big boy discussion? Idiots.
Yeah.
That's stupid to me.
Go read that story, folks. It's by Ross Dellinger. Very intriguing story in terms of what could happen and what the plan is. But again, it would, under the current scenario, it would basically be the current Power 4 conferences just doing their own thing and everybody else is left out.
I disagree. I don't love this, and I don't love how much TV contracts and all this stuff are now deciding, the direction of college football. Like, it's really funny because I think we go back to the beginning of the NIL era and stuff like this, and it almost felt like, yeah, let's throw these players some scraps so that we can completely change this game and monetize it like we've never monetized it before. Yep. I'm not a huge fan of it.
70 schools that deserve to be in this. You'd maybe get to 20, maybe get to 25 if you want to, just to whatever, maybe 25 in terms of, until you get to where Boise State should be included in this. There's no way you could say you're taking 70 schools and not include a Boise State in a list.
I agree, man.
Somebody said lawsuits are coming, so we would see if that happened, if they would allow that. A lot still that has to happen, but there is some momentum for this, for the big boys to break away. So
yeah,
who knows? We'll see. Jay, appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy the debates.
Yeah, for sure.
Enjoy when we disagree a little bit. It makes it a little more fun on here, and like I said, that's the beauty about sports, man. When it's someone's opinion, you're not wrong. It's just your opinion, my opinion. I mean, it is what it is, and hopefully they can keep winning, and we have plenty more debates like this moving forward.
I'm all for it, man.
There he is. Appreciate Jay. Again, Western Collective Studios. Don't forget to join us Saturday for the watch party at House of Western there downtown Boise on Idaho Street and Tide Bar National. And again, rowpaint.com. Andy Rowe was awesome yesterday, helping coming on as a guest. We're going to make that a little regular thing for Andy to pop on Mondays and give his analysis. So appreciate him. Appreciate all you guys. Go subscribe if you can. Go support the sponsors, and make sure you're watching Jay and the KTVB gang here moving forward for their various BSU high school coverage, things like that. Jay, we will talk to you from Friday from Honolulu as we get set for the game on Saturday, and we'll deal with the time change and all that for the show. Maybe we'll talk before Friday, but Maybe Thursday and Friday, folks. Maybe like a noon show or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I'm not sure. We want to do the show at 5 a.m. From Hawaii for 9 a.m. in Boise. So we'll talk about that off air, Jay. But appreciate you, Jay. We'll see you down at interviews, and appreciate everybody for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Again, Bronco Nation News Live, sponsored by rowpaint.com. We'll talk to you later. BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by rowpaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.